Hi, everybody, and welcome to Slamfire Radio for episode 273 for September 27th, 2018. I'm one of your hosts, Kelly Lynn.
I am Adriel Michaud.
It's pronounced 273.
Whatever.
I'm Trevor.
Hi, Trevor.
Hi.
You're not using your fur latte?
It's pronounced 273.
Okay. We're moving on. How are you?
Well, as you can tell, I am normal. I am my
You're
usual.
normal?
I am my usual
His
self.
normal,
Think
cheerful
that's-
self.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm correcting numbers, and that makes me happy. So all is well.
That makes you happy?
Of course, it makes me happy.
I'm getting feedback off of someone.
That's probably me, so I'm just going to...
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just going to delete this. There you go. I have a
Oh.
new headset. Look, see? But it also means that you might get feedback, so I just erased something. Anyways,
I have something new tonight too. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
that's a counter.
Okay.
That's a counter. You guys just trying to figure out why I have a counter.
Why do you have a counter?
Why do you think?
Well, I'm thinking you're counting for targets,
Penalties.
hits, penalties, people that come through the turnstile at the school. I don't know.
I'm not at
Sit-ups.
school. I'm on the podcast. I'm certainly not doing sit-ups. When I reveal the number at the end of the episode, I'll say why I have a counter. Carry on.
Mm.
All right. So why don't we get into what we did in guns this week? Because I know that Trevor, you have probably a lot, right?
Wouldn't be Trevor if I didn't, now would I?
No. You're in quite the mood this evening. This is going to be awesome. I need more stuff to drink. All right. What we did in guns this week is brought to you by the Calgary Shooting Center. It's Canada's premier firearm retailer. As of September 15th, CSC has CCI Blazer brass 9mm 124 grain full metal jacket ammunition, and it's just $259. That's awesome.
Adriel, isn't that what we announced last week? Did that not get changed?
I thought you said you changed it.
No, I said I added something to new gun stuff. Do over.
Well, that's awesome.
Okay.
You're welcome.
1 second.
That's that popcorn music, at the movie theater that you'd hear.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Shall we
Let's
redo
all
it?
go to the lobby and get ourselves a snack.
Mhm.
It's a treat. Get ourselves a treat.
I'm not old enough to have actually listened to this thing live, like whatever this music is. I'm just, so it's not
Trevor
drilled
isn't.
into my psyche from being a child at the drive-in theater.
One of my students tried to stump me on the line from Star Wars, "No, I am your father," thinking that I would screw it up and say what everybody says, "Luke, I am your father," which is not the line. I'm like, please, have you met me? Come on. It's great. My students think I'm the biggest nerd ever. All right.
Well, you are. So let's just
Exactly. Right?
agree. All right.
Own it. All
Well,
right. Speaking of owning it, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
You done? What we did in guns this week is brought to
I'm
you.
done now. Yes, you can go ahead and do the line.
What we did in guns this week is brought to you by the Calgary Shooting Center, Canada's premier firearms retailer. They have EOTech XPS2 Zeros green reticle.
Why couldn't you call it an Ecotech for me? Come on.
Because it's an EOTech. That's what it is, right? Do you want to do it again?
It's even in
No.
green, which is kind of eco.
I know. It's got a green reticle. That's awesome. And it's
Eco-friendly.
$799 or $800 if you want to add $1 to it. There you go. We good?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Trevor, why don't you tell us what you did in guns this week? Because you have a whole shopping list, it looks like.
Yeah. Some stuff that I forgot last week that I wanted to talk about. Back to that story about WestJet. Okay.
Yeah.
So we know that you need to be familiar with airlines policies because a lot of times the employees aren't. So, funny story I want to share about my trip home. My trip out there was awesome. I told that story last week. But my trip home, I go to the check-in line, check in, and then they send me to the oversized baggage X-ray. And the guy in front of me has a golf bag, and they flag his bag because he has 3 lighters in the bag, and they will not allow those lighters to go into the airplane in his golf bag. So they take them out, and they hand them to him in his hand. And he's like, this makes a lot of sense. I'm allowed to hold them myself, but I'm not allowed to. I can carry these 3 lighters on the airplane, but I can't put them in the belly of the airplane. They said, no, because we trust them in your hands where you have control of them in the belly of the airplane. If they spark and light themselves, they could light the plane on fire. All right, fine. Remember that, 3 lighters. Okay, my bag goes through. So they're x-raying my bag, and up on the screen is 1 round of ammo completely there on its own. So this is a round of ammo that is in my 511 pants. Okay, so we start digging through the luggage and pull out 1 pair of 511s. It's not in there. Pull out another pair of 511s. No, first they pulled out a pair of 511s. Or no, sorry. First they went for my shorts. I said, it'll be in my shorts because I shoot wearing shorts. It can only possibly be in my shorts. So they pull out my shorts. They check nothing. I'm like, that's weird. They x-ray it again. There it is again. I said, you know what? I've got a laser
It's in your undies.
I've got a laser cartridge in there, and it's part of a dry fire system. It's probably that cartridge that you're seeing. Duh, no, that cartridge doesn't have lead. It's not going to show up like a bullet. Anyway, they pull that out. It's still sealed in the package, so they put that through the X-ray. Nope, that's not it. So they keep digging, and then they get to my 511s. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. The last time I wore those 511s was at the charity shoot, and it was around a 40 cal. I was shooting 9mm at the Nationals. So why was there a round of 40 cal? That round of 40 cal was in my pants when I packed my bag, when I checked it in Halifax, and when it went through the X-ray in Halifax. They didn't catch it then, or they saw it and they didn't care. But in Winnipeg, they were making a real big deal about this round of ammo, okay? So we pulled out the 511s. We found the round of ammo. They take it. Everybody's cool about it. Off I go. I get back to Nova Scotia. I open up my luggage. I pull out my range bag. In my range bag is a lighter. And I left all my ammunition with Jim to take home because he had a second bag. So he was putting his gun in one bag and the ammo in the other bag and declaring it, right?
Right.
In my range bag was my ammo bag, and in my ammo bag were my loaded magazines and loose rounds of ammo. They got so obsessed with that 1 round of loose ammo, they never even looked at the gun or the gun bag or all the rounds of ammo in the gun bag or the lighter.
Or the lighter.
Or the lighter. Security is an illusion. And the problem with security is it's run by people, and people are not infallible. So
that's true.
Yeah, I thought I'd share that interesting little story. I don't know if I told this last week or not, but at the 3-gun match, Gallon bought my Arsenal Strike 1. The gun was, every time I've taken the gun in the range, it's malfunctioned. It has failures to eject, and rather than work on it, whatever, I got enough guns. I'm like, I'm selling this after the match, and Gallon's like, how much? I'm like, $500. He's like, $400. I'm like, sold. So, keeping in mind, I only paid, well, I shouldn't say what I paid for it, but anyway, he got the gun and a whack of mags for $400.
$400.
So,
he's happy?
He's happy. Gallon, he's always
good.
happy.
Yeah, he is.
So,
all right.
And then, Adriel, did I talk about how I actually did at the provincials last week?
At the provincials, no.
No. All right. So, although I'm provincial champ, I only finished second in the match. Lame.
Okay, how'd that happen?
Because it's the New Brunswick provincials. So the person who finishes in the highest spot who's a New Brunswicker becomes a provincial champ.
Right.
So if a bunch of people from Ontario, Quebec, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia all show up and you finish 5th below everyone else and you're the top New Brunswicker, you're 5th place but provincial champ.
Right.
So I'm provincial champ but didn't win the match. Lorette's provincial champ for open, didn't win the match. Most provincials for production didn't win the match. So some of New Brunswick's top shooters all had our butts handed to us, unfortunately. So shout out to Tim Thomas. Tim Thomas handed me my butt. He took the Alex class with us the week before. Tim is from Nova Scotia. Yeah. So Classic went to Nova Scotia, Production went to Nova Scotia, and Open went to Quebec. So although nice. we're all provincial champ, but we're all first loser. So
well, like you say that, but the population of New Brunswick is not high. You have to have provincial champions from the local area. Nationals is for everyone to compete at, and the fact that they have people from other provinces go to your provincials is like, I don't know, good practice for them. I guess it's not there to be like bragging. Like, imagine I went to I don't know, PEI or Newfoundland or something like that, and I got like a top 10 ranking. Right? It's like that's for the local province, right?
Yeah, sure. But I mean, it was a level 3 match. There were some decent shooters there. There was some hard stages. We had 60 shooters. Nova Scotia, and I'm leaving tomorrow from work to go to the Nova Scotia Provincial. It's also a level 3. Hasn't been a level 3 in a while, so I'm pretty excited about that. Shooting in standard, actually, because I've always shot standard down there. Last year I shot standard down there because I shot standard at our provincial, and they were like back to back, so I just stayed in standard. This time I've got some unfinished business to do, and I also want to shoot my new standard gun that I got. Last time I shot down there, last year, I lost the match by less than 1%. It may have had something to do with starting to drink the day before at 3 p.m. and not eat till 9. And then anyway, it was a late night and a rough day the next day, and it cost me the match. So I will stay sober this time, mostly, and go from there.
I mean, if everyone's not sober and everyone's hungover the next day, it's even, right?
Yes, but unfortunately, they won't all do that.
So it makes like water is a performance enhancing drug,
right? Yes, I don't know. Yeah, because everybody's so hungover. So anyway, did something really cool with Snuffleupagus last Friday. We organized a shooting activity for the teachers at John's school and the school that my school is associated with. They did a car rally, and the final destination was the gun club.
Cool.
So we had a bunch of stations set up. We had the shotgun station over here, also with some 22s, and then we had a handgun station, and then we had an AR-15 station. So with the SLR and my kitty cat. So it was cool. There were some people who had never shot that gave it a try, and were like, "Oh, nope, too much bang, too much scary." We had some people who had shot lots of hunting guns but never shot a handgun, so they got on that. And then there was this one teacher. I don't know if this was appropriate. No, I'm not going to. Yep. No, I better let that one slide.
Okay.
But the
male or female?
Female, and she is crazy good. And then so I knew that she had stopped by our booth at the trade convention show in town, and it was like, "Oh yeah, guns are cool. I got some guns." I'm like, "Oh, neat. That's nice to know. Cool. Maybe we'll see you sometime with your gun or something." Anyway, she grabs this thing, and with little to no instruction, she assumes the shooting stance. She's got a great grip, and there's a steel plate out there at 10 yards, about a 10-inch plate, like a steel challenge plate, and she's just knocking the life out of ding, 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 ding. Everything I put in front of her, she shot all the way up to the 44 Magnum.
Nice.
She's like, "Yeah, I'll shoot that too, whatever." And she just calm as ice, just calm, cool, and collected. So now John and I are like, "Well, are you kind of maybe interested in competition? There's some girls at the range. Maybe we can arrange like a play date for you guys, just the girls. We'll stay away. You go do your thing, see if you like it. Whatever we can do to foster and encourage this and not be overbearing men who know everything. That's what we're going to try and do." So we're hopefully she'll take us up on our offer to go to the range with some of the girls, because she's scary good, and I'd really like to see her get into competition. But she's young family, just got a baby or something like a couple of years ago. Not or something. I'm quite sure it is a child. It is a baby, and it's humanoid. So that's no doubt taking up time and money. So hopefully she can find time for this hobby. Saturday and Sunday, we cleaned up the range, put everything away from SummerSlam. This is the first in 3 years. Last year I had hand surgery, couldn't go do it, and it didn't all get done. They got a lot done, but they ran out of time. Once hunting season starts, the boys are done, and I don't blame them, but stuff needs to be put away. It didn't all get put away. The year before, same thing, didn't all get put away. This year, we had our 3-gun before provincials, and we hosted provincials, and then that was it. Our shooting season at the range is done, and everything. I say everything got put away. There's still safety tables that need to be put away, but like that's it. All the stages are and the house that we rebuild, Alan's supposed to put a coat of stain or oil or something on it to treat the wood, but all the stages are torn down and put away, so that's good. Oh. So I got out to practice with my Apiro, and for those of the listeners who are listeners and not viewers, the Apiro is an STI 2011, so it's a double stack 40 caliber IPSC gun. The slide was locking back with 1 round left in the magazine, so I had to tune the slide stop. That's this piece right here that locks the slide open. I had to take it out and do the whole marker file. So cover the part with marker, file till the marker's gone. Cover the part with marker, file till the marker's gone until it stops malfunctioning. So that's all squared away. I also got out practice with my SLR, talking to Adriel and Brian about getting a different zero for the upcoming 3-gun match next weekend. No, in 2 weekends in Nova Scotia. What else? Oh, I got out and I test fired my 870 Wingmaster police build that I did last year. I brought that to the range with the teachers because it had never been fired, and I thought it would be a cool pump action shotgun for them to fire. So when they were done firing it, I got out and fired it. So it works flawlessly. I'm very happy about that. And then I did some more gun selling and buying. I bought a revolver last year from Adriel, traded it for a CZ75 Omega, or CZ75B Omega. B Omega. Really comfortable gun, but a really horrific trigger for a double action, single action gun. NB Hillbilly's wife tried it at the Furlacci class. No, she tried it FN at the Furlacci class. Wasn't really crazy about the FN. Yep. And then the next day during the charity shoot, during the Steel Challenge, she tried that. And she said to me when the Steel Challenge was over, if ever you sell this gun, I want to know. And so I told her, and she bought it. So that's awesome. Yay! And then I turned around and I bought a Shadow from IPSC treasurer guy, Larry Shriver. He's got a Shadow 2, which means he needs a second Shadow 2, because 2 for 2, right? Yeah. He wants a backup, and rather than have a Shadow as a backup and a Shadow 2 as a primary, you need to have 2 identical. I totally support this kind of behavior. So he's going to the Nationals this year in Quebec, wants a backup. And so he was like, I might have to sell my Shadow. I was like, how much? So I bought it. And then Tresca, a girl at the club, she had an older CZ85, and she wasn't really happy with it and stuff. So when I showed her the Shadow that I bought, she got all crazy jealous because I got a really good deal on it. And so I felt bad. Her birthday was coming up, and she was jealous that I got a gun and she didn't get a gun. So I went out and I found her a gun. And a listener on CGN, I had no idea this guy was a listener. I just saw the ad, sent him a message. He's like, is this the famous Trevor from Slamfire?
Oh, God.
And I'm like, if he likes my content, yes. If he thinks I'm annoying, no. What do I say? What the heck? Yeah, it's Trevor. I don't know, famous Trevor, but anyway. So cool dude to deal with. But unfortunately, I don't read so good. And I had the deal done before I went back and read his PM. I thought I was buying a Shadow. Did you know that all CZ75 Shadows are SPO1s, but not all SPO1s are Shadows?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So the SPO1 doesn't have as nice a trigger. It has a firing pin block in it, and the sights on it are 3-dot sights. What are you going to do? We'll take out the firing pin safety. We'll drop in a spring kit. We'll get better sights. And I think we're still going to do good on the price because he gave us an excellent price. So I don't even think he knows I bought it for someone else. I don't think I ever went there with him. I just said, yep, I will take it. Please and thank you. So that shipped today. Speaking of shipping guns, I'm gonna ship Kevin's M&P back to him finally. See, the problem with Kevin's M&P that's been here since the charity shoot is it's sitting in a box.
Oh,
And,
is it an M&P or is it a SIG?
It's an M&P.
Oh, okay.
And it's sitting in a box. It's not with my other pistols, so it's not like I look at it every day and go, "Oh yeah, I better send that back." I only remember to send it back when Kevin, sends me a PM like every 2 months. You done with that gun yet? Not too much trouble. Can I have my gun back? Oh yes. And then so I was like, yeah, I'll ship it on Friday. And Friday was payday, and then I spent all the money and couldn't ship it. So anyway, I took home the packing slip there today, so I'm gonna package that up after the show and drop that in the mail tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
he doesn't really need it, right? He just wants it back. At some point.
Imagine that he wants his property back. That's crazy. All right, that's it for me, Adriel. How's about you?
Let's see. I got out and shot that WK-180C. That was really neat. Found some really good accuracy from this stuff. This is Hornady 55 grain VMAX. It's commercial ammo, and I'm getting right around 1 MOA with it. So
that's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot a coyote with this. And let's see what else I do. Oh, more about the WK. So I also tried the American Eagle Independence ammo in that, and it it did the same thing as it did on my AR. It jammed the bullet into the lands, and when I pulled it back, it ripped the case out and left the bullet in the chamber. So I had to tap that guy out with a rod. This is the exact same thing that happens on my AR. I think it's a wild chamber plus federal independence ammo problem. Let's see. Yeah, shot the commercial spec stuff really good. Actually, my first group was some Browning stuff, and I looked at it through the scope. I'm like, well, that's looking pretty good. It was about like 1.25 inches, somewhere around there. And then I shot more groups, and I'm like, oh, actually, a bunch of these are looking really good. So it gave decent accuracy. I wasn't sure what I was going to get. When I started shooting some, what was I shooting? American Eagle 223. I got around 2.5 inches with like 1 or 2 that like really slipped out to about 3 inches. But I think that's okay for like blaster ammo for a piston-driven rifle.
Out of a regular rack grade barrel. I mean, it's not, it's $1,000 black rifle. Let's always keep that in mind.
So then I shot my AR, and I was testing it with the new gas block, new gas tube, and a different BCG, and I still had those problems with I think it's short cycling.
So BCG, did you go from a full auto to a semi this time?
No, they're both full autos.
They're full auto, okay.
Yeah. I looked it up. The weight difference between those two is not a lot.
No? What's the malfunction? Is it not ejecting? Is it extracting but not ejecting?
It extracts the case. It does not fully reset the hammer.
Oh, wow.
Or the hammer is following the bolt. But I'm not getting any like multi-hits on them.
Have you worked on your hammer and your springs?
I have changed out 3 triggers on this, and I'm still getting the same malfunction. I've used an Elfman, another Elfman, and a Timney, and I'm getting the same issue with all 3. And all 3 in 2 different lowers. I'm out of ideas here. I'm going to use, I've got
You've almost tried too many things.
Yeah, so I'm going to go out to the range.
Lost track of variables.
I'm going to, the problem is there was a couple things that went wrong, right? The ammo was one problem because it was too long for that wild chamber. So now, I got to take it back to the range and shoot, I don't know, like another few hundred rounds and see what the problem really is. Because right now I'm out of ideas. I checked the gas port on the barrel. Yeah, it's to spec. I changed out a bunch of stuff. I checked the springs. The spring looks fine. It looks as same as my other spring. And if that was the issue, why did it happen in the other lower that had a different spring in it? The buffers are standard weight buffers. They're not heavy or anything like that. So I will try to figure out what the issues is there, but just in anticipation of Gremlins continuing to be there, I popped a 1-4 on my WK because it ran just fine. So and it was accurate enough. And our next match is all within 100 meters. So suppose the barrel heats up and that like throws my accuracy a little bit. It won't matter because it's all within 100 meters. And I kind of want to shoot coyotes with this scope anyways. So this would be a better hunting.
Which vortex is that?
It's the Viper 1-4. Fantastic glass. I really like the glass on it. The reticle, I could
love the Viper line.
Yeah.
What's the reticle?
It's their TMMS. It's an MOA reticle. But given that it's like the max is 4x, like the MOA is not super useful, right?
Right.
But it's got illumination, and for a close range 3-gun match, it should be fine. And I think for hunting, it should be fine as well. I really like the mags drop free, great from it. So from a competition perspective, it'll be fine there. I think having the charging handle on the left-hand side here, that I'll ram my mag in, I'll let it go, and that should be fine. And I don't know. I'm not really leaving anything on the table here in terms of competing with it, I think. So I'll find out. I'll find out really quickly. I also popped on, this is a mod that I saw online, and this is using Magpul M-Lock covers on the port here. So one of the things, if this wasn't here, you would see there's a bunch of brass marks from where the brass is hitting because there's no brass deflector. So I've put it on into the slide saw here. This is where if your charging handle would be on the right-hand side, there would be a slot here. Yep. And I've just covered those over because I've got the charging handle on the left-hand side. So interesting thing to note, you can use the Magpul M-Lock covers to cover that slot up. Now, if you're just going to run your charging handle on the right-hand side and this like big slot bothers you, you could cover it up. You could get a bunch of these covers here and put them on. This is the Type 2. They're a little bit bigger. There's also a Type 1 that's a little bit thinner and rubberized. I might get that for this guy here because it's a little bit less obtrusive, and it's rubber rather than this is like a hard plastic. So I think, if I shot this enough, I think that the rounds would start eating away at this plastic and making it look nasty. But for now, like especially when you're looking at the rifle, not like side on, when you're looking at it from closer in, it sits very close to the receiver, and I think it's going to be fine. Let's see here. It's cycling really nice now. I got like more than a few hundred rounds through it, so now the cycling is very smooth, whereas before it was a little bit catchy. Yeah. Now it's very nice and smooth. The charging handle feels like just a little bit loose in there, but don't know if I care. And safety, I've actually started using my thumb to flick the safety off, and then my index finger to hit it on. So it's very quick to use, because otherwise you're breaking your grip to pull it up. Sorry, I gotta throw it on the other side, or you're using the back of your finger on this tiny little guy here. So I like pulling it up and then just using my index finger to pop it off. So I'll use that for 3-gun.
Can you extend that? Can you get an extended one? So you can do it all with your thumb?
Maybe. I mean, I don't have an extended one on my AR. My buddy's got one.
Okay, but do you flick your AR off with your trigger finger? No.
I can't because it's not ambi.
Right. Yeah, would you if it was?
Maybe because you can get better leverage on it. Like using the back of your thumb, you're like grabbing it like right here on the edge. On my AR, what I'll do is I'll break my grip and then flick it off and then pop it down. Because I don't want that gun without the safety on in the dump sled because it's a 30-second penalty. And it's unsafe, right? I want to have the safety on. So,
what rules are you following? I thought that was a match DQ.
USPSA does a 30-second penalty. Some of the other ones will do a match DQ if you dump without the safety on. Some of them it's just a big penalty.
We're doing USPSA multi-gun, and I thought that's where I got it from. I need to go back and check. Perhaps it changed, or perhaps I was wrong.
Get 5 years ago, more of the rule sets would have that's a DQ. These days, it's a large penalty. Because like here's the thing, I got DQ'd last year, 2 years ago, my shotgun. It's got a light safety on it. It's a Browning A5. I have done nothing to this safety. It's just that's the way it is. I popped it into a vertical dump barrel, and it looped around and hit the safety off in there. I've got video showing me flicking the safety on, throwing it in this barrel, and then it hit the safety. So is it unsafe? Is it something that the shooter did on purpose? Well, no. Is it unsafe? Well, kind of, but kind of not, because it's already pointing in a safe direction. So
right, it's in a retention device. It's not like
Correct.
you just laid it on a table and walked in front of the muzzle.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I much prefer the big penalty on it, because then it's a big enough penalty to where you're not getting first anymore, but it's not so much that
But your match isn't over.
Yeah, your match isn't over, right? It's like, shucks, I should have. It's enough penalty to really think about it and fix it for the next time. Oh boy, where am I at right now? I was talking about safeties and 3-gun, and I sighted my .308 hunting rifle, so that's good to go. I would much prefer to get my deer with my bow, but we'll see.
Oh, sorry, Muffin went moose hunting with a bow.
How'd it go?
Well, someone else shot the moose for him.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so his rifle malfunctioned. He opened the action to chamber around and couldn't get the action closed. Why he wasn't in bow range, I don't know all that whole story yet, because I wasn't able to really talk to him last night when he went to register his moose, because things weren't good. When I got there, one group of guys had to change the flat tire that they just drove in on. Then Muffin was busy trying to get logged into the online licensing system here in New Brunswick, because he left his license back in the woods. They had got stopped on the side-by-side by the rangers and had their licenses checked, and he took his license out of his wallet and then didn't put it back in his wallet, just put it in his backpack, and then they went back to the moose to finish dressing it or whatever. So his license stayed in it. So anyway, he was in no mood to speak to me when I got there, or anyone, not just me. And the other guys were busy changing a tire, and if I stood around and watched them change the tire, I may have had to get involved. So I just kind of stood inside next to Jason quietly, and I didn't get the whole story. But he got a huge moose. At that point, they said it was a 53.5 inch. So that's a big bull in New Brunswick. And it is the largest moose that had been registered so far at that station.
Well, good for him.
Yeah. Let's see here. I got some more of those clean your rifle with me style videos up. I'm going to keep putting those out. Yeah.
So
You like Bob Ross.
Yes. The whole thing is Bob Ross cleans guns.
You need more hair, though.
Well, Bob Ross has got the hair. He does the painting. I'm the guy who does the guns. I got no hair. I got the beard. So
That's true.
That's the deal. Yep. I think that's about it. I got to. I'm waiting for that Safariland holster for my Shadow. That should be here pretty quick. And then
But you haven't gotten that yet?
No, it went on the slow boat from the U.S.
Okay.
It's been a couple of weeks at least.
Mm-hmm.
I just cleared customs in Vancouver today, so I expect it next week sometime.
Okay.
And and then I'll use that for. I've mentioned it before, but I'm really looking forward to doing some IPSC practice this year to get good. And so I think I can put some springs in my Shadow 2 and still have it IPSC production legal, as long as it only does the single.
OEM.
What? OEM? Really?
Yeah, production.
Ah, really? OEM? No, they didn't say production. They didn't say OEM for the trigger parts in there, did they?
Well, now again, based on our interview that's coming up, we'll know more as to whether or not you can use non-OEM in the double action, single action. I think the interpretation right now, and I'm putting a big fat I think on this, is that I'm incorrect. It's not OEM. You can now use aftermarket trigger parts across the board in all production guns.
Yeah, because there's a really well-known Shadow 2 spring Cajun Gunworks out of the U.S. and they did Spencer's from Smyrna.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I might have to get some parts from them. Not that the Shadow 2 has a bad trigger; it's got a fantastic trigger,
but it can get a lot more fantasticer.
Yeah,
Is that a word?
Did I use it?
Fantasticer.
For Lotism.
More
yeah.
Fantasticer.
For Lotism.
I'm just wondering because you're correcting my speech pattern, so I might as well,
It's not all I'm doing.
Whatever. Keep clicking.
That's it for me.
That's Kelly's super duper impressed face. I see it every now and again. And I'm pretty sure it's reserved just for me.
It is.
Mostly.
So what I did in guns in this week was I went to and had a range day with the Kingston Field Officers for the CCFR. And so that was Steve, Matthew, Kelly, and Kyle. We did a steel challenge style kind of thing with our pistols. And just, Trevor, have you been having problems? Or have you been shooting the 147 grain 9mm at all?
I shoot my own ammunition with federal primers because tuned guns don't always hit off hard primers. So if you're having light primer strikes in your shadow, you need to increase your mainspring.
Yep, that's exactly what was happening. So I put through 40 rounds and 8 of them didn't actually had light primer strikes. So
make sure everything's clean, and then if it still doesn't work, either switch ammo or change your mainspring.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. So we also actually got some pretty cool guns out as well. Steve brought some guns. He brought a 44 Magnum revolver, and it was really, really cool. So we were doing a Dirty Harry kind of deal. What?
Well, that being said, I ran out of my own ammo after Nationals.
Okay.
And for the entire Alex class and one other match somewhere along the way, I had to use the X-Metal factory ammo, and my gun did light them all off.
Was it 147 or?
Yep. Well, regardless, they use the same primer across the board in all of their pistol ammo, so it has nothing to do with it being 147. If you bought the 124 or if you bought the 45 grain, 45 ACP ammo, they use this. No, well, that's a large primer. Never mind. The 40 and all the 9mm all use the same brand of pistol, small pistol primer. So, yeah.
Because I was looking at them, and one was actually almost a silver type, and one was a gold type, and it was all the ones that were gold that didn't actually have the light primer strike. So I don't know.
They're hard.
If they were. Okay.
Is there a spring kit in that shadow?
I don't know.
You got it from Adriel, right?
I got it from Adriel. Yeah.
Adriel,
I did not put a spring kit in that shadow.
But did you buy that shadow secondhand?
Yes.
You bet I did. Yep.
So it probably does have a spring kit.
Yeah. Cool. I'll have a look.
Yep.
So, as I said, Steve, he brought some really, really cool guns. He brought a 44 Magnum revolver, which was awfully cool because we did the whole Dirty Harry thing. And he also brought a mint condition 1938 Luger. So it had the swastikas on the side of it and everything. So it was, as I said, in mint condition. It was beautiful. I got to shoot it.
Was it prohib or
it was prohib.
Length? Okay.
Prohib. So it was in a... What are you doing? Nothing. It was beautiful. I started to think about, Germany and the fact that I was born to shoot this pistol because of the fact that, I was born in Germany, right? It was a 1938 Luger. And anyways, so I started saying, Deutschland, Deutschland over alles. Anyways, but.
And you're wearing a SIG hat. Wow. So you're Nazi is basically what you're saying.
No, I'm not.
Well, you're like you were lonesome for the home, for the motherland, and you felt this strong connection to this German Luger. You started to speak German.
I did. It was awesome. I found out that Steve was born in the exact same place I was, so it was like almost like kismet. So
okay,
yeah.
So the guy with the Nazi gun was also German.
He's Canadian. He was born in Germany, but at the same place I was, which was a British Air Force base. So,
okay.
The other thing I did was the Ladies' Day at Napanee. So what we had was 45 new women come out and shoot, and we raised money for breast cancer awareness Kingston. Vortex Canada and CCFR sponsored the event, so I wanted to say thank you to them. We also had the ladies themselves, they got to shoot trap, they got to shoot the AR-15s and the 22 rifles as well as pistols. So we had 22 pistols, and we also had the 9mm pistols as well. ladies had a great time. Napanee District Rod and Gun Club, they put on a really good event, but we also had pie. So it was awesome. We always had pie there. It was good. And that is everything that I did in guns. I did a few more other things, but not really at the ranch. So that was it. Okay. Upcoming events. Adriel, why don't you tell us about some 3-gun events that are happening, because you have something marked down here.
Yeah, there's a couple this weekend coming up. There's a match in Cold Lake, Alberta, one in Rock Cut in Ontario, a match in Lethbridge, Alberta, and one in Milo in Alberta.
Excellent. And I'll talk about the Maple Seed events that are coming up. You can check them out at mapleseedrifleman.com. But we're having our season finale in Woodview, Ontario. So basically, anybody in the GTA or Peterborough area come out to it. It is October 20th. There are still spots available, and you know the costs. The costs are $50 for adults, $35 for military or law enforcement, or $15 for people who are under 18, so the youth people. And it's also $25 range fee, but for that you actually get lunch this time, so it's awesome. Come out. It's the last one for this season, and then we're going on our hiatus. Trevor, you want to talk about SummerSlam? It's in capital letters, but I think I'll give you the... You want to talk about it? Okay, I guess not. It's sold out. That's it. News? What do we got in the news? Toronto Town Hall. Who has that one?
Well, I've got both these in here. The first one is the Toronto Town Hall on potential handgun ban, marked by vocal opponents. That's us. That's us.
Yeah.
We're the vocal opponents. Like not us here in this room, but us generally in terms of gun owners and CCFR. A lot of CCFR members went to this one as well, right?
There was a contingent from the CCFR there, and yes, they were very vocal. They were asking questions that people generally couldn't answer or didn't want to answer. I think they got a little frustrated, it looks like.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is kind of linked to the next one here, but this is one of public consultations. And the problem is that they're consultation-ish. They're not really consultations. I know that they took questions were pre-screened. And I know that some people were kicked out, and it seems like the people who were talking up at the front there were parroting a lot of the
rhetoric
data that we've heard, and rhetoric. Inconsistent data, as in the 50% of crime guns were sourced domestically stat that we keep hearing. That is proven false.
Right.
And then if you bleed over into the next thing, that kind of just shows how ominous this town hall is. So Bill Blair, and this is his phrasing here, is giving himself until the end of the year to consult Canadians and experts on the need for a handgun ban, saying he wants to stop gang members from getting their hands on firearms that were initially purchased legally. Now that's pretty nefarious, because what that says is he's looking at stopping criminals here in Canada from getting their hands on
legal
purchased firearms. And how do they do that? So he's talking about straw purchasing.
Exactly.
But the problem is that straw purchasing isn't really
legal
bad of a thing here. Well, it's not legal. It doesn't seem to happen very often, and it seems to have some very basic safeguards in place, or not in place, that could be put in place very easily.
Yep.
Did you know that someone requested the stats from the RCMP on straw purchases, and they don't have any?
Correct. Yeah, that was one of the other things I wanted to mention. Was the stats don't exist.
Yeah.
So here's my thing. Here's my question. You said to consult Canadians and experts. So they're consulting people who have no idea what they're talking about.
Yes.
And then they're also talking about experts. And so define experts. So do you want to actually talk to police? Do you want to talk to criminals? Because they're experts.
Yeah. Police,
I'm just saying.
Maybe some of them would be experts. Probably a lot wouldn't, because they don't do, like, you'd have to talk to the guys who are doing the investigations. I assume they send in, like, there's some place where they just ship like hundreds of guns, and they're like, find out where these are from. And those guys have some real weird classification system going on, because how they define crime guns and how that's done, it doesn't look like it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I don't know which experts they're going to be consulting. They had a panel of people at this this Toronto town hall that weren't experts. They weren't people who really know the law very well and know the stats very well, because they're saying inconsistent things or things that can't be backed up with data. So this looks like I think we mentioned this in weeks past, that this is a charade, because trying to push this through by the end of 2018.
Charade.
Charade?
Charade, yeah. Now, I want to get this out there, talk about talking to police, assuming that police are experts in firearms, to no fault of his own. He's not a gunny, and he doesn't know this because he's a police officer, or he doesn't not know it because he's a police officer, but a police officer was at the range today loading my pistol mags, and he asked me how many rounds they held.
Right. A lot of times they don't know.
No, you're absolutely right. Just because they're a police officer,
do it for them.
Just because they're a police officer doesn't mean they know the Firearms Act.
Mm-hmm. I had a friend of mine that works with corrections. We went to the range together, and she was putting the bullets in backwards. I'm just saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they don't, a lot of times, don't handle it. It's the armorer who will actually prep the magazines for them, or load the magazines. So
the people who the government entrust to carry firearms know less about them than the people who aren't allowed to carry them.
Previously, they weren't required to have their PAL or their RPAL. They are now, though.
Mm-hmm.
Not the RCMP.
If you want to be considered in the hiring process now, you do have to actually have your PAL.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay.
Same with CBSA, same with corrections, or any of the other government agencies. I knew
the other two, but for a long time, it wasn't a requirement of the RCMP. That's interesting.
It is now. It wasn't before.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like, how often do most police use guns? Like, not very often. So it's primarily they're pulling people over on the road for doing something, or dealing with drunks or people on drugs, or people with mental health issues.
Yes.
And in terms of skill usage, the talking to people, investigating, understanding people is way more important than knowing guns and knowing how this stuff works, or knowing how the Traffic Safety Act works, right? I think you were talking to an officer, I don't know, a couple of years ago, and they're saying the same thing. There's umpteen regulations in the Traffic Safety Act. How do you know whether these tires are legal, or this weight on this truck is legal? Some of the stuff you got to call in because the law is too complex to handle, and our Firearms Act is
complex as well.
Yeah, it's more complex than it needs to be. It doesn't need to be
intentionally.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be as bad as it is, but it's bad. Yeah,
right.
That's not going to get better. Not within the current government.
No, it's going to get worse.
Yeah. Right. Well, C71. I didn't put this in the news, but C71 just passed recently here as well, and the Liberals whipped their vote on that. So,
where was Max?
Max didn't show up to that for personal reasons.
Max takes his ball and goes home because he can't win the nomination to be the leader of the Conservative Party. So I'm going to go start my own party. You guys don't want me? Fine, screw you. I'll start my own party. And he puts out this wonderful firearms platform, which is basically a book from the page of the CCFR.
Well, he said it was that was actually pulled from the Conservative Party. There was a meeting in Vancouver where they had this simplified firearms classification, which is actually a really smart piece of legislation. It simplifies it greatly. We're talking about RCMP trying to put the stuff out. That would help quite a bit.
Yeah. And so he has a chance to gain firearms owners' support by standing up and voting against it, and he was noticeably absent. So why? Make up your mind, Max. Are you a firearm owner friend or not? Not impressed.
Yeah, I felt the same thing seeing him. Largely his vote wasn't going to sway things. The Liberals had enough to rock that thing out.
Symbolic.
Yeah. I can't wait for this thing I hope it gets into place well before the next federal election, because any of those rural people who now have to call in and call in for permission to sell their shotgun, they're going to be pissed. And they're the Liberals are going to lose some of their ridings because of it.
Well, They're not going to because they didn't last time, and there's going to be even less compliance this time.
So it still has to go before the Senate,
Right.
but that's it.
Yeah.
It passed through Congress, or not Congress, Parliament.
And
Canada
you email
Congress.
your Senate- you email the Senate, and they are your senator, and they don't email you back.
Right. Excellent. Now that we're all
Wonderful
happy
system.
and yeah. Let's talk new gun stuff. The Glock G45. Have you guys reviewed this yet? Had a look at it?
I couldn't really figure out how it was different. So it's the they took a bunch of the stuff from the Glock Gen 5s and the 19X, and they mashed it all up into
It's
into
just
a gun.
compact. Yep.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's just compact slide and the full grip. That's
Well,
it.
that's what the
What
19X was.
it says basically, I don't know. It says it's I don't know. I don't
It's
know.
another version. Glock's got a big problem right
And
now
it-
putting out some of these versions.
And
keep
it's
putting
available
out-
on flat dark earth. That's all I know.
Yeah, and
Okay.
black, and
Yeah.
black. Mhm.
Well, this was really useful information to the listeners.
It's out.
What the hell is it?
I don't
It's out.
got
There's
my
nothing
Glock.
Yeah,
to
we,
it.
okay.
I don't
Say
care.
it's out again and see if that helps us know what it is.
It's out. The CZ-P10 Sea Striker Fire pistol is here. Guess what? It's here.
And what is it?
It's a pistol. And guess what? It's out.
You're amazing at this. You should do a podcast.
Hey, you know
Wait.
what?
So this gun
Yep.
is the compact one, unfortunately. So it's like the equivalent of the Glock 19, which is not what I was hoping was going to come to Canada. So it's like a Glock 19 with a threaded barrel. So it's not a full size, it's a compact. It's not the CZ Striker Fire gun I was hoping for. It's got a threaded barrel, and it's got the most ridiculous 4-story high suppressor sights you've ever seen. So I don't want it. I don't want this version. That's for sure. For those people
Some
that have
people
been
might.
for those people that have been dying for the CZ P10 C
Yeah.
or the CZ P10, it's here, but it's the C. It's the compact version. So yeah, breaks my heart.
Maybe
You don't
not for
want it.
you, but
Somebody might
someone
want it.
else wants it. Yeah, I would never think that the 19X would be popular in Canada here. Because
The
why?
The
It's got-
19X.
Yeah, it's got a
Yeah.
short slide and regular size grip. Who cares? Like we use our guns. We're not carrying our guns here in Canada. We're taking them to the range and back. So why wouldn't you just go for a Glock 17?
Oh, if you want, I mean, and even if you were carrying, why wouldn't you carry the long slide short grip? It's the grip you need to conceal.
Yeah.
So I'm on Glock's website, and they don't even have this Glock 45 listed. So you guys are both high
That-
or something.
That new.
Yeah, it's so new, not even Glock knows about it.
Well, that wouldn't be the first time. I mean, like we were talking about the Tika 1X, and it wasn't on their website either. Sometimes they're just like slow on that stuff.
Mm.
Mm.
You heard
Like-
it on Slamfire before you heard it from Glock.
And you didn't hear much because we don't know. Like I reread this article a couple times,
Yep.
and I still don't really know how it differs from the 19X. So, oh, but it's new.
Yep. Doesn't really say much, does it?
No, just a press release.
So is it the same frame and slide as the 19X in a different caliber, perhaps?
It's just in
Is
9
it
by
the
19 though.
It's still
You think
9
it
by
would be
19.
45? I got a Glock 45. Okay, does it take 45 ACP? No, it's in 9mm.
That's not how Glock works. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Glock don't work like that.
Okay.
I can take
But-
the next one.
Sure.
I saw this on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. True North Arms is working on a bunch of WK 180 stuff. So when are these prototype barrels that you're showing us going to be out? I'm like, no, they're out. So they actually commissioned
Maple.
Maple Reef. Yes, thank you.
Maple Ridge Armory.
Maple Ridge Armory
Yep.
to make them a bunch of barrels that would be specced out for the WK-180C. So they've got the carbine length gas system, a little bit larger to pump that piston back, and it just fits. And it's 5R rifling, and it's got a really polished chamber. So really cool upgrade barrel for the 180. Now, I don't think I'm going to do it on mine because mine's pretty good already, but if your barrel isn't getting the accuracy you want out of the ammo you've got, then this would be an option to pimp out your rifle, right?
Yeah. So the price on it is pretty decent as well. It's $399.
Yep.
Not bad. Okay.
It's about right for like a match grade a barrel. It's fluted. It's got some interesting features there. So very interesting. They also, and I think I was sending this to you guys on Voxer there. They've got reverse thread suppressors. So it, rather than going on the end of the barrel, it goes on the barrel like a so that it makes the barrel look a lot shorter, and it makes it look like it's got a suppressor on there, but it's just a sleeve basically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So really cool if you want your if you want to like make your rifle look good.
All right. That's everything new gun stuff this week. So why don't we get into tonight's main topic? Right. Just wanted to say thank you very much again to Jim Smith for coming on and talking about IPSC and their new rules. Why don't we get into listener feedback, YouTube version? Have you guys been paying attention on there? I turned it off because of the feedback.
Let's see. One guy's saying, I thought you couldn't own guns in Quebec.
That's Mike. Mike from the Reloading Podcast.
Luke was asking if we got his email about the guest speakers at the Moncton Fish and Game Association. I believe that's coming up next.
Yep.
Reloading Podcast is saying more redundancy from Glock. Yep. And I think that is just about
it. All right, let's get on to real listener feedback. Well, not real listener feedback, but these are people that have sent in emails. Listener feedback is sponsored by Highlander Tactical. Go to highlandertactical.com to check out the great supply of both outside and inside the waistband holsters today. Use your promo code of Slamfire and check out. And when you check out, you get 10% off your order. So Luke G did send in an email. Trevor, you want to read it?
No, I'm looking at something else right now.
Okay, so why don't I read it then? Just making a request as to whether or not you can make an announcement on Slamfire Radio regarding guest speakers for the CCFR at the Moncton Fish and Game Association monthly meeting on October 1st at 7 p.m. It's held at the Rotary Club in Centennial Park at the following address, 125 Rotary Lodge Lane, Moncton, New Brunswick. All members and non-members of the Moncton Fish and Game Club are welcome to attend the event and learn more about the organization. We will be there too to inform members and the public about the great things we do to help firearm owners across the country. And he's talking about the CCFR. He goes on to say, thank you all for the great show that you guys produce. I really enjoy it and learned a lot, not just that Trevor sucks, LOL. And that's from Luke. So thanks, Luke. All right. And that's everything for listener feedback. If you'd like to email the show, you can send an email to slamfireradio@gmail.com. iTunes reviews. I don't think that we have any iTunes reviews. So if you would like to, send us an iTunes review or podcast or Bean, whatever, review, and we'll read it here on air. What about shout outs? Trevor?
Yeah, I have a shout out to the gentleman who sold me that CZ SPO1 Not Shadow, Rob Burke. Thank you for listening, and thanks for cutting me a deal on that gun. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. And Adriel, do you have anything?
Nope.
All right. I do have a shout out. It's going out to the CCFR ladies who all attended the Napanee Ladies Day shoot, because without you guys, it wouldn't have been a successful event. But I also wanted to say thank you to the CCFR men as well that came out. That's both Matthew and Colin. So I just wanted to say thank you guys. Yep. Patreonies. We don't have any new ones, but if you'd like to actually give us a hand with putting out some content, go to our website, and up in the right-hand corner, you can click on Patreon, or you can actually go to Patreon and /Slamfire Radio and give us a hand there. What you're doing is you're helping us put out content every week. For anybody who does become a Patreon supporter, what you get in the mail is you get stickers, swag, different things like that as well. Don't forget to send us an email with your address, and Adriel will send you all of that swag. Adriel, have you sent anything out recently?
Yeah, I sent a t-shirt last week, and I just got an email from someone this week for another t-shirt. So, yeah.
Excellent. That's awesome. Okay. Why don't we sign off? So, please join one of our national firearms associations, such as the CCFR, because we do things like the Ladies' Day, and we go to these town hall events and everything like that. Go and support the CCFR, because without them, we might be losing our guns. Also, check us out on Gun Owners of Canada. We have a thread there, and we would love to talk to you there. Like us on Facebook. We're at 1980. That is a great year. I was in Germany that year. It was awesome. And that's about it.
I was 4.
Yeah, whatever.
I was.
Okay.
I was 4 in 1980.
You were 4 in 1980. I wasn't much older, but
Not even live.
Yeah, whatever. I was in Germany. It was the best years of my life. All right, Trevor, do you want to tell us about that clicky, what you're doing?
Nope.
Oh, you don't? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because unfortunately,
yeah,
I didn't get to use it.
Why not?
Because the opportunity didn't present itself.
There you go. All right. Words of wisdom for anybody that's listening. Trevor.
Yeah, show's over.
Okay.
Good night.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night and stuff and things.
Well, we were supposed to do a Patreon last week.
Mm.
We're supposed to do it the third Thursday of every month. It's at the top of the show notes, and we're still not getting it done.
Yep.
So
we could do... Well, let me stop the broadcast.